agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so our public hearing tonight is to receive public comment concerning the adoption of a proposed local law that would add to the Canton Village Code a new chapter 129 titled Complete Streets. The proposed local laws was available online, and of course a copy was able to be obtained at the village clerk's office. Normally when we for any of our meetings like this, we allow people to provide comment to us via email or any other US mail. We did receive 2 comments. One of them asked to be read at this point. Our editor-in-chief has volunteered to read. I think she'll read the second one too, because it is very short. Carol?
You ready for those?
Yeah, why don't you do those now? We'll get those out of the way. And then if there's any other comment here, we'll.
Very good. Yeah, there were 2 that were received in writing. One from Kathleen Stein from 84 Judson Street in Canton. She says, I am unable to attend the public comment session on January titled Complete Streets, but I would like to communicate my. Oh, I don't have that. You know what? That's cut off. If somebody can find that for me, I printed it out and it's cut off. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Here it is.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
I am unable to attend the public comment session on January 19th for local law number 1 of 2022, amending the village code by adding chapter 129 titled Complete Streets. But I would like to communicate my support for this law. As a Canton resident for 36 years and a very frequent walker on Judson Street, where I live, I have greatly appreciated the improvements already made to the walking environment in the village under the Complete Streets policy adopted in 2016. I think that codifying the policy in the village code will ensure the continuation of these improvements. Proposed Complete Street Advisory Task Force will ensure residents' input and oversight, and the provisions for exemptions from the law seem reasonable. I urge you and other members of the Canton Board of Trustees to vote to approve this amendment to the village code. And that was Kathy Stein.
Great. Sorry about that. I hadn't even noticed that was not fully printed out. Okay, and the second one is from Dan Dominy, 6167 County Route 27 in Canton, New York. Please accept this letter of support to the proposed law number 1 of year 2022, amending Village of Canton Code with the addition of chapter 129 to be titled Complete Streets. Consideration in the inclusion of it to local village code and appreciated government action favorable for many beneficial reasons of its citizenry. Master planning of a community flow is met to consider all aspects of mutual growth, including industrial, business, and residential development, transportation/travel, education, recreation, health, and so much more. The existence of programs like Complete Streets give wanting communities the benefit of oversight/regulatory priority to needs associated with pedestrian and bicycle movement options in additional cooperative integration, mutual with everyday transportation decision-making practices and processes. Complete Streets is a wonderfully coherent tool in the local mission to changing the status quo of how people get around locally. Opportunity first by piercing the perception among a broader number of North Country residents that engaging in pedestrian and bicycling is just recreation, that you need a vehicle to actually get places. And secondly, in addressing the noted obstacle to such option, quote, human-powered motion, quote, people's justified concerns to safety in their desired alternative means to travel by foot or wheel in our otherwise car-centric created/funded transportation systems. Those citizens of the Complete Streets Task Force in their already long-standing work towards this Complete Street mission know the importance to mutually addressing with their governments those types of practices, processes, beliefs, issues, and concerns. This code will encourage momentum in helping change much by further exploring and hopefully growing needed pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure options locally for its citizens. Options which includes a societal benefit supportive to increased health and wellness outcomes by providing health choice as an easier choice through actual means in better and safer pedestrian and bicycle accessibility and desirability options than currently exist. Not something to be forgotten or trivialized in this critically current pandemic era when promotion to strong and healthy bodies, minds, and spirits is so necessary, one and all. Finally, in support to, quote, build it and they will come, parentheses, and stay, parentheses, quote, projects involving complete streets concepts, standards, and goals have been clearly documented through government-based research in building prosperous and resilient communities. The shared efforts in decision-making to all things, quote, community in motion, quote, in infrastructure and integrative movement, shown to be exactly what citizens want and expect of the communities they and their family and friends choose to generationally domicile in. Holistically desired community, I hope that an importantly rewarding message in additional consideration to your inclusion of the Complete Streets proposal to Village and of Canton Code.
Thank you, Carol.
Mhm.
Is there any other comment from anybody else here in the meeting concerning that? Okay. No takers. Very good. Okay. Since there's no other comment, we'll close our public hearing. And we'll move on to our regular agenda. There's a couple of additions that I will add to the agenda. Under new business, will be to appoint Nan Klingman to the Housing Authority Board pending an ethics review by her employer. J will be an item, possible employee return from unemployment, but we'll have to, I want to talk in executive session first. That being said, just a reminder that we now have the option to translate speech into what we call live captioning on it for our Zoom meetings. You can access this by clicking on live transcript, the live transcript button on the bottom of your Zoom screen, and selecting show captions. If for some reason this isn't working for you, please ask the host to enable closed captioning for you. Okay, first item on our agenda is to approve minutes of December 14th and December 15th. Need a motion?
So moved.
Carol?
Second.
Klaus, thank you. All in favor?
I do have one very small correction, but I think it's important, Mike. In the minutes of the regular meeting, in the ED section under BOA, the discussion of BOA, it is a step 2 nomination package. It says step into INTO. So it's step 2, like the numeral or, 2 TWO. So I think that clarification is warranted.
Get that, Sally? Okay. Are there any other corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. We'll move on to department head reports. Well, first on the list here is economic development. Lee.
Hello.
Hi.
You want me to give a summary or? just
Well,
see
is
if
there
anyone-
any updates you'd like to give? And then if there's any questions by the board?
I don't think there's a lot since my report. We did have a couple of debrief meetings about unsuccessful applications that were helpful, I think. One of them was for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, and we have a plan for trying to address some of the things that we can maybe enhance a little bit in our next application. The other was the local waterfront revitalization plan. program grant that we did not receive. What it really came down to on that was that we did not apply for an implementation grant, so we lost 8 points there. We had a planning grant prepared. But we did learn also through our conversation that the Grass River is not what's called a local waterfront revitalization. We do not have a local waterfront revitalization plan approved by the state for the Grass River. We have a waterfront revitalization plan. To have it be a local waterfront revitalization plan, there's some further steps that need to be taken. And we are having a presentation by our DOS rep. I think next week is when we've scheduled it to learn what it would take to get to that point. So that will also garner us some extra points in all applications that we receive, because every grant application you do asks if you're part of an LWRP. So we're taking steps to learn about what that would take as well. It may mean some additional waterfront overlay districts, or some additional, I can't think of the term right now, but some additional steps that for whatever reason they didn't take at the time that we did that in 2010, I think. So those are the big things right now, just working on year-end reporting and things like that. I don't think I have a whole lot else to update. We did receive the local government efficiency grant that the town was the applicant for, that will allow us to do the study on Stiles Avenue as a shared site for the DPW. So we're gonna get rolling on that soon. I don't think I have a lot else to update.
Any other questions?
I will mention though, and I think I put it in my report, and I think it's on the agenda for the joint meeting. But we are still looking at the CDBG CARES grant application. A new notice of funding availability was released at the beginning of the year. So we are holding another public hearing that I think you'll be discussing with the town to schedule. And we really want to promote that and get the community's input on what we should be asking for through that opportunity. So I think that, as I said, is on your agenda for the joint meeting next week. But I wanted to get it on your radar.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Lee? Okay. I see Megan is here. We have a game coming up pretty quick.
I am here. No game after school activities got canceled today.
Oh, okay. Well,
Worried about the weather. So,
okay. Well, you're next for the report, so we might as well, since you're up and talking, we'll go with you.
all right. So Pavilion's full swing. Girls hockey, they're getting close to the end of their season. So everything's a little bit crazy right now. I did get contacted by the state for high school athletics. They reached out to us to host the play-in game for the girls varsity Final Four that's going to be hosted at SUNY Canton. So that's a nice thing to host. This is the first year that girls varsity have had 5 sections. So we're going to play the play-in game. We're going to host the play-in game for the Final Four. So that's nice. That's going to be in early February. The fundraising for the canoe kayak launch continues. I'm sure everybody kind of saw the little feature that Channel 7 News did on Mark for the project. So we're hopeful that that will just push us over to the edge. We're so close to getting the total amount that we need for the project. Let's see, here's some other highlights. The grooming of Partridge Run for skiing and snowshoeing is not going to happen this year. We were hoping to borrow equipment in order to do our trial year, but we were unsuccessful in getting our needed resources. The opportunity is definitely going to remain on my list for the future because it's a great way for people to get out and recreate and use the golf course in another way when it's not being used in the summer months. And the rec committee, we met on January 12th for the first time with our 2 new members from the town. Our 2 town representatives, they are John Tayo and Marianne Ashley. So we had a productive first meeting, just getting the two of them caught up on projects since I started in August. And then other than that, I've just been really starting to look at summer recreational opportunities, starting to do initial planning. I've reached out to a couple departments at SUNY Canton because they have some majors that could really fall into helping us do a summer program from start to finish. And the benefit of that is that those students could also receive college credit. So that's just in the initial talks right now. And then I've also already spoken with Department of Health on clarifying guidelines for a summer camp versus a non-camp. So to make sure that we're doing everything by the book. And let's see, that is just about it. Anybody have any questions?
Did you
Like,
just
we're
say
good.
thank you, Megan?
Anna?
Did you just say a summer camp versus a non-camp?
Yes. There are
Okay.
rules that a lot of people, well, talking with Department of Health, there's a lot of gray area between the two. And it's very important that you get clarification, because if you think that you're doing a summer program, a lot of those summer programs are actually camps, and they require basically 4 times the amount of staffing. So it's good to have that conversation. We had a great talk. So there's a lot of gray areas that we need to make sure that we stay within the rules.
That makes
We
sense.
got
Thank
into a
you.
little trouble with that another time, Anna, when we were working with Garden Share to do the morning program and
Mhm.
a lunch thing. And we thought we were doing a program, but it turned out we were doing a camp.
I see. Okay. I would just also like to make the comment that I had the opportunity to be down at the pavilion a couple of days recently, and it's looking great. So I just wanted to give Megan and the staff a shout out for that.
Thank you.
Yep, great job, Megan.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on our list is code enforcement. Tim? Anything to add to your report, or you,
Nothing to add to the report. Did everybody read my report? Does anybody have any questions?
The answer is yes, I read it, and no, I don't have any questions. I want to get credit for having read it for sure.
Okay,
Same.
all right, good.
well, that was easy.
Yes, that was.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, next in line is the treasurer. Sally.
Yes, you had my report. Attended several meetings. I thought the death and birth certificate information would be interesting to you, because that's a big number this year. Bigger than normal. The .gov domain is renewed at no charge. I thought that was great news. Because of COVID, they're not charging us this year. It's normally a $400 fee. I have a few items on the agenda after some conversations with the finance committee. So I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, Sally, any questions for Sally?
I have one question, Sally. As I always do, and I'm sorry I didn't get in sooner into the office to ask you this. I appreciate the addition of the balance sheets and that we agreed that would be helpful to us in understanding what we're looking at. And but I do have a question right from at the very top on our assets on the balance sheet. What does it mean under the water fund and under the joint activity fund? Well, and under trust and agency, really. But I guess my real question was water fund. That it's listed as 722,000 into the negative. What does that mean?
That's exactly what it means. That we're operating at a deficit.
Oh. And that is because?
That is because our expenses are more than our revenues, but also that you have to remember that we only bill, our major billings are quarterly.
Yeah, that's what I
So
was
even
thinking.
though our
Mhm.
expenses are monthly and biweekly, our revenue only comes in quarterly.
That number will shrink as we get, further into the year.
Right.
Got it.
Any other questions for Sally?
I did actually, two things, Sally. One, I did think that thank you for including the information about the death certificates and the birth certificates. I think that it is, I guess I was wondering, you said it's more than normal. Certainly the 455 death certificates would be, I guess we might attribute some of that to current pandemics.
Yeah.
But is that more in terms of the birth? Is the 64 births, is that more than normal as well?
Well, the 64 are actually death certificates. So we had no births
Oh, I
this
see
year
that.
to
I
record.
misread that.
So normally death certificates on a normal year is probably 52, 53. So it's a little bit more. But the 455 is an extraordinary amount of copies. So people seem to be
I see
asking
that
for a lot more copies. So
Okay.
normally 1 or 2, but they've been asking for 10.
Mhm. And Sally, what kind of a process is that for your office to process these? Like,
So
how does that work? Is that a lot of
So-
work?
Well, it's easier than what it used to be because what happens now is those are filed electronically. So we receive that information electronically, but the actual preparation of the death certificates is still manual.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I also had another question about the N95 masks.
Yes.
You noted that you have been distributing them and have asked for more. Have we had a lot of demand? I mean, have they flown out of the office?
Well, the first couple of weeks they did fly out of the office. But this week it's slowed down a lot, but I know that we're not going to be the only ones handing them out. I know that drugstores are also being given a supply of them to distribute. So I think probably more likely people will go there when they make their normal visits.
Okay. So this is not a situation when it would be beneficial to us or the community to do any kind of advertisement that this is available. People probably know it and or are able to get them elsewhere.
I think they know it. I think
Okay.
it wouldn't hurt to put something on the website, just saying that we still have some available.
It was advertised once they were distributed through the town.
Yes.
Anything else for Sally?
No, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Sally.
Okay, Chief.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Jim.
The only thing I wanted to add was just to give a brief update of the little project we're doing in the front of the PD. I'm trying to harden the front of our office and give a little more privacy to some of our victims that we've had an ongoing problem with through the years. Anyway, DPW, a couple of DPW guys have been working on that on and off when they're free. Dave and Kyle especially. Doing a great job, but they've obviously been tied up with the weather, so we're kind of at a standstill right now. But otherwise, if any of you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those too.
Doesn't look like it. Okay. We'll move on. Assessor. Cindy.
Hi, good evening. Okay, I would like to add to my report. The New York State Department of Taxation and Finance contacted us today that anyone in the mobile home park who has a star exemption will be getting an application from the state because they will be getting a star credit check instead of the exemption. So this is good news for them because beforehand, the exemption was either taken off on their lot rent or the owner of the mobile home park at the end of the year would send the owner of the home a check. And I don't think that was going on. I don't know what exactly was going on at each park. Each park was handled differently. But this is good news because now it'll be directly mailed to them. They'll get a star credit check instead of having the exemption. Also, the state notified us that they're going to be doing a class on the solar, on valuing the solar model, the model that came out. Apparently, there was a formula in there that was not correct, and they had to correct it. And the association got in touch with the state and said that they would like for them to review things before they go and post things. So they did. They want them to work hand in hand, and they did. And they found that there was an error on the model for the valuation of the solar, for the solar project. We're talking about the big ones, anything over 1 kilowatts. So there's a class they're offering in February, and I'm going to take it, and they're going to go through how to value the solar farms, you know, those big project solar farms. So they did a webinar on it a couple of months ago, and I attended it, but they flew through everything, and it was very hard to follow, and everybody got upset about it. And so they're going to have a special class for this, and I'll be taking that in February. Does anybody have any questions about my report?
Go ahead, Anna.
Hi, Cindy. Your report mentions that anyone who is receiving a basic star exemption and turns 65 by December 2022 with income under a certain level, 92,000, should call your office for the form. So that seems like something we should try to put on the website or try to communicate. Is that accurate?
If we could get it out in Chemung County, we used to put a one-page ad by all the assessors, and we would, you know, put it out there, you know, in January. Nobody was interested in doing that. I don't know, but yeah, if we could get some publicity about this, it would be good. If we want to put it out on the web or in the North Country Now paper would be good as well, because a lot of people don't know. They think they have to be 65 to apply, you know, and the cutoff date is December, like I said, December 31st, 2022. And I have to have that application in by March 1st of 2022. Okay, we could, yeah, I could talk to you about it tomorrow. I'll be in my office and we could set something up. If we could put it out on the web, like a banner, you know, something, that would be good.
Okay, great.
Okay, any more questions for Cindy? Okay. Did I miss anybody? Oh, there she is. I did miss you, Linda. Oh, you gotta unmute yourself.
Here I am. Yeah, what happened, I was ready to sign in like 6:15, and I was working on this request that I had today for information about birth, death, and marriages on these couples. And I wanted to tell Sally about that. If people say they were born, died, and in Canton, they also request newspaper clippings. So, and plus I have Ancestry. So I often have help with the town clerk going into Ancestry because I have it up in my office. And it's a big help sometimes because I was working on this just before I forgot to get on. So I got that done. And my report, what was really neat, this month with the town board meeting, Kevin Akers got on. And he talked, because I put a lot on the updates that we're trying to do with Ruth Doyle in the county on the sheriff's house or the applying for district national register from the courthouse down to the sheriff's house. And we're working with Ruth Doyle and a committee of legislators on getting that resignation because we now have a county historian, Nancy LaFavor. So Nancy's very active as our new county historian, and every month she meets with Ruth Doyle or our committee. I put the picture of our little committee that's on there. So Kevin was on and really said, yes, we know it's moving. So I was very happy to hear him be on the town board meeting. And just still a lot of emails coming in for house research. And it just gets busier and busier because people are not coming around much, especially the older people. So I'm really enjoying still that work that's coming through. Now you've read my report, and if you have any questions, let me know. I put pictures on, as everybody knows, because I want you to see what I'm doing. And
So Linda, I'm sorry, but in fact, I did not see your report. I didn't see that it was there. I saw the edition that was the stuff from the Museum on the Streets. Did everybody else see that, and did I miss it?
Sally had asked me for a copy of my report, and I was having trouble with Google Drive last week, but Sally got my report the other day.
I got the edition. That's what I thought.
I
your
got the
report was.
addition. I got the
That's all I
addition.
got was the
We
addition.
have the addition.
What was, you got the report?
No, just the edition.
What's the edition?
Mhm.
The information
museum.
that about the museum in the streets that you had gotten from Lee.
Right.
Oh, you didn't get my 5-page monthly report?
Nope.
Why don't we get together tomorrow, Linda?
Yeah,
And send it to me and I can distribute it to the board.
yeah, okay, because you asked me for it, but I was having trouble with Google Drive. In fact, ABS took my computer down today.
Okay.
They said I needed a new hard drive. So that's probably what happened, but you didn't get it, but the town did get it. I send it out the same day. All of you. All right, I'm sorry about that, but you'll get to read it when it comes. Okay? And any questions, you can email me. Okay? Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
And then there's a couple of reports, animal control, and Bob Crow sent a report also from the fire department. He can't make it today. I don't think I missed anybody now. Okay. I need a motion to accept department head reports.
So moved.
Second.
Anna, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and nobody's opposed. Committee reports. I know there's a few out there.
I'll start with a real quick one. The Public Safety Committee has met a couple of times with the newly formed Community Engagement Committee, and we were hoping that we could announce an event that we are trying to accomplish during Winterfest. But there were a couple of things that didn't quite come into confirmation this afternoon, so stay tuned. We're looking to do an event on, I'll tell you, it's February 5th, but we'll get you more details in terms of that. So we had some really nice conversations. We've got a good group.
Next.
Well, I'll go.
Okay,
Am I live?
absolutely. Carol.
So I have a couple things. I think Megan mentioned this in her report, but I think we've had with rec and ED and communication and technology meetings already with the new town members, and those have been really, really good. I think that they've been, we've sort of giving them the drinking out of the fire hose method and just sort of letting them know, what the committees are about and what we're working on and what we're focused on. And they have both, well, in all cases, been really engaged and really interested. And so that's exciting and really game to jump in and do stuff. So that's been great. For communication and technology, things were covered pretty well with Rec and ED. We are doing, well, we did a website training through the North Shore Solutions, and it was generally not very well received, to be honest. It seemed like it wasn't that helpful. So we're going to do it again, and Anna and I are going to work with the clerk's office staff on that and actually include the two new town members of the Communication and Technology Committee too, just to give them a little primer. The truth is that the idea is not that the board members are the people doing the website work, it's the staff. But right now, as we've got some new people and people in new roles, we're working on that, and they seem really open to that. Another thing we're going to work on is reviewing. Heidi said she's gotten a lot of questions for people looking for things on the website that they can't find. And the navigation of that is admittedly a little wonky. It is a perfect example of decisions made by committee. You know, 4 of us working at that and doing it the best we could. So we would really love your input. If you have things that you look for all the time or you get asked about all the time that aren't easy to find or can't be found, or if you just have any suggestions on navigation of that website, let Anna or me know, or Sally, and we can incorporate that in what the decisions we're making. It's a WordPress site. We made it because it's really user friendly and really flexible, so we can make changes pretty easily. So, and finally, I think really through a lot of good advocacy by Anna, we're really working on trying to enhance accessibility for people when we're meeting virtually. And I think it's exciting that we're able to, that the closed captioning seems to be working. I imagine there's some weird translations there sometimes when you say things, but hopefully that's a help for people who could use that. Shared services has not yet met. At our meeting last month, we, I should say, hasn't yet met with the new committee members. We all finalized the shared services agreements, and the town has approved all but the recreation one to be signed and moved forward. So we'll be meeting, the shared services committee will be meeting shortly to see if we can't get that rec one in a way that people are ready to sign. And I believe that's all I have. Oh no, golly, that's not all I have. One more.
On the shared services piece, I have the ones all signed that are, and we're done with right now.
Great, super. And I'm very proud to offer, I think, maybe our first, or maybe it's the second finance committee report. We'll talk a little bit more about the comptroller's report, but one of the upshots of that is that the finance committee has been formalized and constituted, and we've been meeting monthly and making a lot of great progress on fulfilling our corrective actions and also just streamlining some things. Most of what we talked about at the last meeting, we will be reviewing in other places lower in the agenda. But I'm Sally and Mike and I have had really good meetings. I think we're making great progress. The only other thing I'll add, just because it jumped out at me here, I checked with NICOM, and I have some affirmative action and equal opportunity employer statements. We had talked about that. So we agreed that I would, in consultation with department heads, draft a couple just to have as a jumping off point, and we'll see what we can come up with. This is a wheel that does not need to be reinvented. The problem is we can't find our own wheel. So since we can't find the ones we had, we're just going to pick up from some of the ones that were recommended to us by NICOM. So that's on my list of things to do that I just haven't gotten to yet. So that's what I've got. That's all.
Who's next? Anna.
I think that's me. Again, economic development is covered well. And thank you, Carol, for the communications and technology report. I will just say that I have turned on the captioning, and it is far improved in accuracy than what it used to be. So That's really good news. I want to talk about infrastructure a little bit. A couple of things that folks should know about. On the recommendation of our county legislator, Danny Fay, the mayor has submitted on our behalf a letter to the county administrator and the legislature asking for them to assist us in completing our secondary water source project. So the county, as we all know, has ARPA funding, same as we do, as we have discussed. I think at length now in our meetings, but we'll continue to until we get this project done. The secondary water source, we really do not have a second water source. Should there be a catastrophe, we are in big trouble. And this has been something that has been noted by the Department of Health, for example. So it's our #1 priority that we have been working on, that we have, we're in the process of updating the pre-engineering reports so that we can, move forward on the project. And, the board has agreed to a significant portion of our ARPA funding to get that project moving. So that is what has been done. The mayor has submitted that letter to the county on our behalf, asking that perhaps they will be able to help us with that goal. So that was the first thing. The second thing, as everyone knows, we are absent a superintendent of public works at this point. You should know that the mayor has been working every day working with our foreman Rick to keep the day-to-day stuff going, as well as to keep us moving on these planning projects that normally the village superintendent would be doing. And so as we're in this period of transition and moving towards a new hire, the infrastructure committee, Klaus and I thought that it might be really useful to the board to understand a little bit of the DPW crew's perspective, to get a little bit of their input for us to consider as we are going through the process of hiring a new superintendent. And so Klaus and I, took the opportunity. They were very happy to meet with us, and they met with us, and we met with the most members of the crew over the last week. And we just asked them, what was going well, what their concerns were, and what they were looking for in a new superintendent. And, certainly, we will share that, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. And first of all, what's going well, we have a really great crew. And they all, they're hard work, and they're proud of their work, and they work well together. And, they're proud of the fact that they do a little bit of everything. Other communities set up their public works departments in different ways. They have, specified water department and road department and so forth. And our guys, they all do a little bit of everything. So there's a lot of expertise and experience shared, and it's a good crew, right? They work well together. I think their primary concerns, would be encapsulated, around the, communication. They, certainly are seeking good communication with their superintendent, with leadership, to have their perspectives and their input taken into consideration in the making of decisions. And so then, given that, I guess, sort of what they're looking for in a superintendent, I think that we could say, they're looking for somebody who's a good communicator and is knowledgeable, but also values their knowledge and expertise, and will include that in their decision making. which of course leads then, I think that Klaus and I would suggest that that is something that the board considers, as we move forward into, hiring somebody, that we are looking for somebody with strength in those areas, in that area. And also, I think I would say that, this may be an opportunity for the board to, along with our staff and our clerk's office in particular, to, think through our processes of some of our human resource processes and the different ways that we might be able to best support a new superintendent in coming in and getting going and working with the team that we have down at the barn. So I think that's the big picture takeaway from our conversations. We're really grateful to have had that opportunity. I think it's important to get folks' input. And I just really wanted to give a shout out to the guys. I calculated after our conversation, and there's like over 100 years of experience and all aspects of public works down there. And they often, we don't know what they do until either something goes wrong or we have a big storm like we have recently, and then we see what they do, right? Because we had cleared roads and cleared sidewalks, and they've been doing a good job getting the work done. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out. I think that's it on that. I don't know, Klaus, if you wanted to add anything.
They were very receptive and very eager to share their ideas and stuff. That was, it was good to see. I think we've got a good crew there, and we, should do our best to pick a good superintendent to work with them. I'll also have a little update on community choice energy. We're starting the public education part of the next 60 days. There'll be items both online and in the local papers, in North Country Now and Watertown paper, informing residents about the upcoming opportunity. And at the end of 60 days, every village resident will get a letter explaining the whole deal, including letting them know they have the option to opt out if they wish to. And then there'll be another 30-day period of further public sessions and question and answer sessions, both Zoom and hopefully in person. Hopefully things will be a little bit better in a month or two. And then, so in 90 days, we're looking at the start of switching over to a total renewable power source. Also, we have a new Joule energy person. Alexia Lamb is our new representative, and we're actually having a Zoom meeting with her tomorrow at 10 a.m. If anybody is interested, I can send you the Zoom link if you wanted to join that, but we're going to be the Sustainability Committee and Infrastructure Committee will be involved, and any other interested Canton folks. So that's what's coming up for community choice.
I have two quick things. A question for you, Klaus, on the community choice, and since I'm going to be at that tomorrow, I maybe should wait, but I'd like to ask it here actually. I know when we first launched into this, we said, there's no commitment, blah, blah, blah. Are we as a municipality, have we formally committed to going ahead with Joule? Or are we still at the point where, we're learning about it and then we'll make the decision to make that available to the community?
No,
I wasn't clear that we'd ever made
we did
official
in
or formal decision to move forward.
I think it was this October meeting where we agreed unanimously to move ahead with Joule.
We did that formally.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And also I would like just to say to Klaus and Anna, really a lot of thanks for taking the time to have those conversations. I think it's just really important. The rest of the staff, we meet with more regularly, we see in the building, all of that. And I think we get a chance to hear what they're thinking and hear what they're up to and all that. And I really appreciate your taking the time, number one, to meet with them and to give them some time to share their ideas. and also then for communicating that back to us. So thanks really a lot for that.
Yeah, I would like to echo that. I think that it shows that we're interested in what they're doing and we value what they do. And, you know, I appreciate you representing us as a board and asking those questions and, you know, letting them know that we care about them as a team and we do appreciate all the work that they do. So thank you for that.
Yep. Thanks.
And if I could just say one more quick thing. I don't have a broadband committee report because we're on the agenda later, but this doesn't necessarily fit. I just want to mention that we have a new board member from the town, John Tayo, and we are grateful he has jumped right into the fray on this really important work. So that's all for that. You'll get more later.
Okay. Are there any other committees? Okay, we'll move forward then. Next item is communications and information, and the first piece on here is an update from our county legislator, and that's been on our agenda right along. I have had several conversations with Dan Fay, and it looks like he's here with us tonight. So it's an opportunity for you know, if you have any questions of Dan, or if Dan has any information to share. I did warn him that if you're further down and under new business, we were going to talk a little bit about the methadone clinic that's scheduled to come. So that should be something that we would all want to take note of. So Dan,
Hear me?
we can hear you. Thanks for
Okay,
coming.
I don't know why my picture's not up there, but my wife's name's there anyways.
Well,
Okay, I just picked out 3 things that the county's dealing with that some of you've already talked about, that I think that are important for the town, the village itself. And of course, the first one, of course, is we're talking about our American Rescue Plans, or our ARPA, when we're talking about this. Ann did a good job talking about it, but I'd just like to expand a little bit on it. I'm on the county committee, which Kevin Akers chairs also. And went out to maybe all the members, if hopefully I'm not saying something you all know, but I know you've made a big commitment for the second source of water. But the county, I think when we go to the county, we've got a couple things that are our advantage. One is we've got shovel-ready projects. Back when Charlie Carville was our village engineer, I think we had the project approved for the new water line from Waterman Hill. And maybe we can get money on that. I really appreciate the mayor for the nice letter he wrote to the county administrator and chairman of the board with our concerns and basically the concerns I brought. But I think that we still have to emphasize to the county, when I'm talking about the county on that, when we're talking about shovel-ready projects, really, I think ours is the only really one that's shovel-ready. I think this is important in spending the money. If I'm missing something, I can be corrected on it. But I think we're going in the right direction. I think the mayor's letter helps us. And if anybody's talking to anybody in county government, certainly should emphasize that, you know, we've got a water line that should have been replaced years ago. When Charlie Carl left, he said, Danny, this should be taken care of. But someone decided that area. So that I think is awful important. We're talking about that area, probably $3 million the county's going to distribute. The county's got over $21 million to distribute. So hopefully I think that from the meetings, we have another one on February 2nd, that we're going to break it down a little more. And I think there's money that they haven't decided where they're going to distribute yet. Sort of kind of plan on 18 of the million. Maybe we need another 2 million. And part of the 3 million is hopefully is going to go to water and sewer. Okay, that's one thing. And the next thing I would basically like to talk about is something that's later on the agenda. If you don't want me to talk about it now, I will. Is the methadone clinic on Route 310, and I think this is a big concern. I was shocked more or less when I was talking to the mayor the other day that he said that all the information they really had was from the chief of police, was very interested in it. Basically, if we're putting this clinic in anywhere, and the county has taken the lead in it now, we have to have community input. So I can't understand why the county has not given you input and has not given input to the police chief. So I have talked to the county definitely says the community service director, Jay Yorick. And if anybody wants to contact him, I'll give him his, I should have a cell phone number here somewhere, I wrote it down. What I do, his telephone number is, if somebody wants it from the village that wants to talk to it, it's 315-386-2048. Now I'm giving you his number because he should be calling basically the village and letting him know what you're gonna do. Basically, I don't know how this money can be approved to the county for a methadone clinic without community input. And at the same time, the chief of police from a county member should get a phone call. So I don't know if the chief is still on or not, but he should be getting a phone call on what direction they're going in. And I'm sure the mayor will want to talk to him after he gets that input. If I can help on that, I will certainly like to help out. Those are the two major things I want to talk about. The third thing I'd like to talk about in this area is, which we again, Anna mentioned, is solar and wind power. At the last board meeting, we had a presentation by a man, and I don't even know his name. I asked another board member what his name was. He made a presentation on basically generation of power. He'd been in the industry the last 50 years. I believe he lives in the DeKalb area now. He was asked by a board member to come in and make the presentation. As we talked about it, one thing that seemed to be is important to us is we're talking about solar and wind power. Okay, solar power is shaking up our prime farmland, and we've got a problem there. And solar panels today, or how many days a year do they not generate power? Acreage pointed it out on January 2nd. He said we would not have enough solar power to service the state or wind power. He said there was no wind, the temperature was 2 degrees, there was no sun. And he pointed out that I think we're looking over a lot of things and we're letting some people with solar and wind power run the bandwagon, which I don't know if we want to. I don't know if I'm right on this, but it certainly is. Channel 7 News tonight at 5 o'clock talked about the problems with just solar and wind power. And they pointed out that the direction that some people think we should be going now is these new nuclear small generation plants. We're used to the big ones that we had, 9 Mile Point and so on, but they were designed, according to the speaker last morning, 50 years. They're asking for another 50-year extension on their license. That doesn't make sense to me. Somebody designed something for me for 50 years, and they told me it lasted 100. I'd be awful nervous. And so basically, I think these 3 items that we've been talking about at the Board of Legislators, either directly or indirectly, or on committee, are the 3 things that I wanted to talk about tonight. Does anybody have any questions of me, or anything I'm sure I didn't want anything?
Dan, thanks. I think we appreciate the the update, especially on the methadone piece. We will be contacting the county about that, and I know the chief of police has plenty of concerns, and we want to make sure that our community is protected and we understand what's coming here, and what kind of support we can expect from the county if this is their program, if things go sideways. So
I'm sure we want our input from our county too.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say our county, our village, because
Yeah.
I think it's awful important when we're running a college town with all young
Mhm.
people who may be easily influenced in a manner they shouldn't.
I think, you've hit that. That's certainly one of the, big issues. And I know the board is concerned. And the chief is concerned. And our EMS and fire should be concerned too. Anna, you had your hand up.
I did. Thank you. Legislator Fay, I have two things. First, you mentioned that you're having a meeting about the ARPA funds. Did you know about when the county is likely to make a decision about distribution of those monies?
I think they're going to be firmed up on February 2nd. I don't say they're going to be
Okay.
final, but all of a sudden if I had my camera was working, I don't know why it's not. I could give you a sheet, a list of things that basically have been proposed and what have been proposed from the survey that the county took. So February 2nd, we meet at, I believe it's 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday. Maybe it's a Tuesday. I'm not sure which day February 2nd is now. But anyways, that's a day I think a lot of things are going to be firmed up at that point in time, or hopefully going to be firmed up.
Awesome, thank you. And then my other, if I could just take this opportunity to tell you about, something else that we're concerned about in the village, and that is specifically broadband. So we have in the town, so we have a joint village town broadband committee. I don't know if you're gonna be able to stay on for the rest of the agenda. There's more that we're gonna talk about, but I just wanted to call to your attention that we have this committee, that our goal is to reach 100% broadband coverage for the residents in the town of Canton. And that we have been meeting with the county broadband committee and the Heidi Ames and so forth, and they've been really helpful and collaborative. But seeing as I have this opportunity to speak to you, I think I just want to put out there that I don't know what your involvement is with the broadband conversations, but if I could put a plug in for developing a holistic countywide strategy for rather than sort of picking specific areas, and I'm saying that even though Canton is one of the areas that is being talked about, like picking very, out particular areas and choosing to pursue funding on those areas in particular still leaves a lot of people unserved. And so if I could just put a plug in that, it would be really helpful to have a holistic countywide strategy on broadband, just from my perspective as somebody who's working on this issue at this local level. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to say that. Thank you.
I just should add to that too, that basically, this is another area of government makes me a little bit discouraged at different times when we've got basically broadband coming, but it's not one person that's delivering it to us. We've got Slick, Verizon, I don't know how many other people. And at the same time, I'll give you an example. I've got a home in the woods in the Adirondack Park, but it's in St. Lawrence County. Slick came along, asked me permission to put a pole on our property. They would service the camp or home, basically hook it up for nothing, but I'd have to pay the monthly fee if I let them put a pole on, right? That was about a year ago. Nothing has happened. And basically, this is the first time in a short, actually the first time I feel a little bit confident that we may get federal government money. And I think it'll really help everything that you have just said. I'm not going to say it's happened. We've been promised it for years now. We haven't got it. When my son comes home, he doesn't want to go to camp because he hasn't got Wi-Fi. It's just an example. Well, thank you for the input, and I'll definitely follow it up.
Okay, Carol, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I do. And I also don't know how to make it go down again. Thanks, Dan, for coming. It's really helpful to have you come in to hear from you. I would be very interested in knowing if you could find out for us about the person who spoke at your meeting about solar and wind and sort of what that person's background is and experience. If you can just, I don't know if it's in minutes that you could share with us or what, but I'd be interested in learning more about that if that's possible.
The handout he gave to us, I gave to the village board. And I think all the members and supervisors got a copy of it, but it doesn't have his name on it. It was one of the strange presentations that he was invited by a board member to show up and legislator rather, and he showed up and it was an impressive presentation that made you think about a lot of things. And I'm basically work with the county planning board, and every time a solar project comes up, we talk about prime farmland. And it makes me nervous when we're saying that we are putting up these solar panels covering acres. When I never thought I'd say this, but it appears right now, even as Channel 7 News tonight said, that we're thinking about small nuclear plants now.
Who was the legislator who invited that speaker? Do you know that? I feel like it's an impressive talk, but we don't know who the person
Rita
was.
Kern
I guess
invited her. If you call the main office, I certainly will give her his name. I should have had it. I do not have it. I apologize.
All right. Well, I'll try them at the office. Thank you. Now, how do I put my hand down?
If you go back to reaction.
Same way you put it. Got it. Thank you.
There you go. I have questions about the methadone. So is now the time to ask, or should I wait?
No, go ahead and ask. This is, if Dan's here and he can answer it, fine. If not.
Great.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to get off pretty quick because I got supposedly a heat problem in one of our apartment buildings.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just put it out there, and if you
No,
can't.
I'll answer the question, so I don't have to go now.
Okay, so I just am curious, if we were supposed to have input as a community, is this a done deal? Is it moving forward? Still, if we haven't had that process yet?
I would say it's a done deal. The county's going to do it. It's not a done deal on the location. And I don't think we can get the funding. Maybe I'm misreading something, unless we as a community have input into the application for the funding. I may be corrected on that, but I think that's the way I perceive it's going.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else for Dan? Okay.
No,
Dan,
thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for
appreciate you
coming.
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. I think we covered some good things there. Under old business, the first item is to discuss secret for the Complete Streets Code. And what did I do with it? Oh. I had asked Jerry about this and Monica as a result. And the opinion was that we should at least do the short form, environmental assessment form for the project. And that would be the first thing we would do before we were to move forward to approve the code. So Jerry started this for us. And I guess it's our job to go down through it and see if there's anything on here that that you need to check yes or no. It's pretty straightforward, but really it is a requirement that we do it to make sure we're covered on creating a new code. So, Jerry, is there anything you'd like to say?
I would just note the agenda refers to the agenda item as a type 1 action. This actually is not a type 1 action. Monica and I debated back and forth whether it was actually a type 2 action, which would not even require secret review. but we weren't sure that it really fit neatly into one of the exceptions listed at type 2. So this is really an unlisted action, which you're using the short assessment form to review. Our feeling on this is that the Complete Streets law is designed to enhance public safety and ease of movement for all parts of the population, and that it's a positive environmental impact. We were hard pressed to find any significant negative environmental impacts. But if you go through the part 2 of the form that I submitted to you, you can assess each one of those in turn and see if you have any different opinion about that. Keep in mind that any individual projects that would come up for Complete Streets review as part of site plan review or whatever, could themselves individually be subject to their own secret review, depending on what the project is. And that would take a deeper dive there. So I think you all have the short form to look at if you have any questions about that.
I stand corrected on how I put it on the agenda. I thought.
But you're fine, because we talked about this when you and I spoke about, is it a type 1 or type 2 or unlisted, and so that's fine.
So what we need to do is complete part 2.
Yeah.
And there's a series of questions 1 through 11. Do I need to read all of them, or do you want to read them and tell me if you think it's small or moderate or large?
So we're on part 2.
Part 2, there are 11 questions, and so I can read them if you'd like, and you can talk about that. So the first one is, will the proposed action, the adoption of the Complete Streets law, create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
No.
No.
No, definitely no.
It's consistent with what we've just adopted last
Right.
month. Number 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
Not in a negative way.
No, not in a negative way. So you're talking about substantial negative impact. Yeah.
Right.
No.
Number 3, will the proposed action impair the quality or character of the existing community?
No.
No.
And will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? I don't think you have to deal with that here in the village.
No.
Will the action result in an adverse change in existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, bikeways or walkways?
Well, hopefully no.
Not adversely, no, that's right.
Supposed to improve it.
Right.
Yeah, the whole idea is to improve it, right?
So the proposal.
Well,
Go ahead.
that's my question about this one is the way that this is written, the adverse is before the, is it asking about an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or existing infrastructure, or is it any effect on existing infrastructure? Do you know what I'm saying?
We're looking for significant adverse impacts.
Period. All of it. Okay.
Yeah. An action will likely have some impact. The
Right.
question is it substantially adverse from an environmental standpoint?
Yeah, the other thing on this is that if there's specific projects come up, they'll have to meet.
Right.
They'll have their own review.
Right.
Right. So will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Nope.
No.
That's no. And will it impact existing public and private water supplies or public and private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Nope.
Will the proposal impair the quality or character of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
Nope.
No.
Will the Complete Streets law result in adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air, flora, or fauna?
No.
No.
Will the Complete Streets law result in an increase in the potential for erosion flooding, or drainage problems?
Nope.
And
No.
finally, would it create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Hopefully
think
it'll
the
improve human
opposite.
health.
I think most of these questions, actually, if there's any impact at all, it's positive.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
think
if
we're
the answer is no, then there, as part 3, the mayor can certify that the board has determined that based on information provided, it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Box 2 would be checked, and the mayor would sign part 3. And then this form would be kept on file. The minutes of the meeting will actually be appended as part of the determination of significance in terms, because I didn't write up a thing for you. We waited for the meeting for you to talk about it and discuss it.
Okay, we need a vote or anything on that, Jerry? A negative?
Yeah, just vote that it would not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. You're adopting a negative declaration.
I move that we adopt a negative declaration.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the Complete Streets Code. Is there anything to further discuss about new code, chapter 129, titled Complete Streets?
Nope.
I guess I just want to say one more time without it seeming like overly gushing. The time and effort that Monica put into this in particular, and Jerry too, you know, we gave them something fairly basic that was boilerplate from a lot of other communities that, and I think they really did a great job on focusing it to be sure that it's appropriate to us and appropriate to 2022 and beyond, and not just taking the template that was maybe a few years old already. So I feel especially good that what we have is really an appropriate and current law and policy that's going to be very useful in guiding us. I mean, that is the staff, the boards, the everybody in making good choices moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I would, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would just, you know, really, Carol, you just said what essentially I was going to say. You know, I was going to, you know, say thank you to Jerry and Monica, but also to you, Carol, and Klaus and Toby, you know, for really working on this and getting this to the form that it's in. As you know, I had a lot of questions and comments, and most of them revolved around capacity and, you know, really wanting this to be something that was implementable given the capacity of our you know, municipality, while also staying very clear and firm about what the goals and the intentions are. And I feel like this has done that and really lays out a roadmap, as it were, for how we can incorporate Complete Streets principles into all of our, you know, infrastructure planning and so forth in a way that, you know, hopefully will be, you know, smooth and make for you know, easy process, or, you know, at least clear process, what those processes are and how we will go about it. So I'm excited about it and I appreciate all your work on it.
Okay. We need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second to move this code forward?
Yep, I would second the motion to adopt the Complete Streets law as policy as outlined or as developed.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay, looks like you got a new chapter in our code.
Awesome. Very good.
Congratulations, everybody. That's great work.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the comptroller's report. We all knew one day this was going to become public, and I hadn't seen the official publication come out from the comptroller's office, but regardless of that, this has been a process that's gone on since, gosh, it seems like during the spring is when they got started on it. I've been interviewed by North Country Now. I've been interviewed by the Watertown Daily Times and by Channel 7. And I've expressed our opinion, our thoughts on on what's occurred, the report itself, our response back to the report. And what we felt was very important was that as a board, we responded to that report with our corrective action plan. And that was all included in the report. And if anybody goes online to see it, I would hope that they would read the whole thing and not just a headline here or there. I haven't watched myself on TV because that's not something I like to do. But I've heard a couple of comments from people. There's a couple of things I would like to make a point of, and then any board member that wishes to speak to the process and what's out there, I'd certainly welcome the comment. It was important to us that the comptroller found no significant exceptions or instances of fraud or abuse. And I think that was a very important piece. This has been a problem that we had with our AUDs that we had recognized for some time. And it goes back well before this board was even in place. And being on one of the longer serving on the village board, I know the previous mayor worked pretty hard. She recognized that this was a problem too, and she worked hard to work on getting through our AUDs. With that being said, we've made tremendous strides with those being completed now. And a number of the points that have been made by the comptroller have been corrected or in the process of being corrected. The one big item that a lot of people jump on is the pooled cash account. And that is quite simply an account that's out of balance. And that's a result of some directions made under previous accounting firms. And those corrections are being made as the AUDs that are being completed and are up to date, and then changes will be made in that account and the funds directed properly into the proper accounts. So other than that, I'm convinced we're going in the right direction. I've said it, I think I said it on one of the interviews that no matter when we leave here, it's our goal is to not have these same things come up when the comptroller comes back again, no matter when it is. We want these things corrected. We want them corrected the way the comptroller asks us to do that. So those are just a few of the important points that I wanted to make. I know the board has been involved in this right along. Deputy Mayor Pinchon and I are sitting on a finance committee, and we're tasked with doing several of these things, and she alluded to that earlier. So I think we're making tremendous strides in getting things to where the comptroller would like to see them. I don't know what else I can say at this point. I know others want to speak. If one of you would like to go first or have any comment or want to make comment, certainly now is the time.
I would like to say something, and I had made myself some notes to follow. Truthfully, though, Mike, you said most of what I wanted to say. I think the important thing for taxpayers and the public to know is, we've been working on this a while. We learned a lot in the process of doing this. We learned a lot from the auditors who helped us understand some things. We learned a lot from Sally about how things have been done. I guess the most important thing when people read the headlines or see the articles that are, you know, just as you said, Mike, sort of headlines, we just have to remember there's no money that was unaccounted for. I think it's just key, and it just needs to be just said that way. Everything, the money's all there. It was just that because of some bookkeeping and record keeping problems on our part, on the part of, as you said, some of the accountants we worked with to try to help us, as a result of some software changes from one bookkeeping system to the other. It's a lot of those pieces that conspired, and you know, it was problems that we were having that we should have been on top of and weren't on top of as much as we tried to be. But now we get it, and now we are on track, and we have learned, and we do understand, and we have the resources we need to move forward. The corrective actions, I was very proud of, actually, that we went straight into corrective actions right away instead of taking, you know, more time and more steps. We knew what the problems were. We acknowledged the problems, and we said, okay, we understand this and we can fix it. As you said, Mike, the monthly finance committee meetings are going to help us all keep on track and make sure that we stay on track, you know, and the finance committees meetings will continue no matter who's on this board. You know, it will be a role of trustees and the clerk's office staff and the treasurer and all that. I think some very, very good developments are going to come out of this that we are going to talk about later, about how the clerk's office is going to be structured, and how the roles are distributed. I'm very excited about the discussions that are happening about separating the clerk and treasurer positions. One of the things we know is that part of the problem was that the job had just grown out of control. So some of the things that were some of the bookkeeping problems that we had were really just things that were being neglected, and we are going to make sure that there's no more of that going on. Also, we haven't had the party yet, but the AUDs are complete. That's huge. That has been on the docket since I came onto the board. And as you said, Supervisor Ashley was the mayor. We were working on that. We tried a lot of different ways to plow through those. Then we got a good solution. They're done. Our annual audit is scheduled. So we really are on such a great path forward. It was tough. It was tough going through it. It was anxiety provoking. It was a little bit scary, but really we came out on the other end so much better informed and so much better equipped to really, I think, do the job we need to do going forward. So, you know, I hope others have things to say if anyone has questions about that. I also think, as Mike has said a few times, if people have questions, they should come to us and ask them, because we have answers, and we feel good about the answers. So, you know, bring it. So anyway, I think we're done. We've been waiting for this to be released. We've been watching for it to be released. We never got a notice that had been released. It's not that we've been sitting on it, and we've been waiting too. So it's out, and we're happy to talk about it. So thank you, Mike, for fielding all this with the public, and that's what I have to say.
Thanks, Carol. Anybody else?
I just have one quick addition, because you both covered it so well. What I really appreciate is that we have put things into place and a framework into place, so people in the future who are taking our positions, whatever that may be, will be well equipped with a structure that they need, and you know, that they'll need to learn the ropes, you know, as new people too. You know, I just think that that's important for people to know. So thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Yep, thanks, Mike, Sally, and Carol, for all the work you've put into this and all the patience dealing with the comptroller's office, and good.
You know, I
done, and
I will say that the comptroller has a job to do, and you know, they're doing their job, and now we're going to do our job.
well done.
Anna?
I mean, I think I would just be repeating a lot of what has been said, and I am a little bit loath to do that. I think that, you know, it was an interesting conversation when I had with the auditor, when I saw some of the same numbers that, you know, are in that report, and I, you know, had, I think, the same concerns that anybody who certainly anybody who doesn't have any kind of accounting background would read that and you know, quite honestly, be very concerned. And so, you know, I asked some very direct questions like, does that mean this money doesn't exist? Do we have the amount of money that we think we do? You know, so on and so forth. And the answers to those questions are yes. And so, as others have said, you know, this is about, you know, addressing processes and programs, quite literally programs, in order you know, getting the, you know, the professional help that we needed to get the AUDs done, and, you know, getting that stuff in place to, you know, correct, you know, systemic, you know, systems issues. So I would agree with the others here that we have put those corrective actions already. I mean, several of them have already been completed, and the others are underway. So I really think that, you know, as the mayor said, the comptroller has their job to do. And in many ways, you know, it's good. It taught us things. We learned things. And as a result, we're able to do a better job. And ultimately, I think that's, at least for me personally, is the goal. So, you know, here we are. We'll keep at it. And yeah, I'm happy to, you know, answer questions about it.
Okay, so, you know, anybody in the public, as this is out there, I would expect that they would ask us, and we're happy to respond. Okay. We'll move on to new business. First item is to authorize payment of vouchers and transfer of funds. Need a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The next item was a discussion of the broadband needs study agreement with MC Fiber Services. I think everybody has received a copy of that. We had discussed this, I think, briefly at our last meeting, that there's a contract that the town was going to move forward with, to look deeper into our needs here in the town and village. And we had agreed to help share in the cost of that. Anna, you're deeply involved in this. Is there anything you'd like to add to this? Or?
Well, certainly. I mean, I guess we did discuss it. I think that, you know, we needed to bring it to this meeting when there was actually a formal proposal. I had just sort of foreshadowed what we are working on. So now you see the formal proposal that, you know, the supervisor has signed and got forth with, and I do hope that our board will support sharing in the cost 50-50. What this study will do, just to sort of briefly speak about it, and then I would invite Toby Irvin, who is far more knowledgeable about the technical aspects of these things, to correct me or add, you know, but just to give a sort of a summary of this. This is a needs assessment of the town and village of Canton. So every address within the town, we are part of the town, right? Every address within the town is going to be identified based on the 911 database. And then all the existing and potential providers, internet providers for those addresses will be identified. And then this is all going to be put into a mapping program, so we're able to see this. Then what happens is that, or along in that process, every unserved being anything less than the national standard of 100 megs, will be researched, and as well as all potential service providers that could serve those addresses. And we are going to be presented with options, including some estimates, like starter estimates anyway, for how we could go ahead and connect each of those addresses. So we anticipate getting some options that would include, okay, you're gonna, for Verizon to hook up these, or Spectrum to hook up these, et cetera, this would be the cost. This is what it would take to make sure everybody would be able to access broadband at 100 megs. We also are going to get some high level information and recommendations for municipally owned fiber, as that is another option that is for which there are a lot of models, and might be something that we are interested in. So really the point of this study is to do the needs assessment, tell us what we have, tell us what we don't have, and provide us options to go forward. That then allows us to, as a board, do what we need to do to make a strategic plan and really go after the funding. The only other thing that I will mention, because I think I mentioned it at our last meeting, was that we have been in conversation with the county and the county broadband committee. I mean, I think we have a good relationship with them, and you saw the request for proposals that they had put out for a provider to propose connecting a section of Canton. They received the bid opening was today, and they received 0 proposals. So, in some ways, I think that's not surprising, though, for a variety of reasons, but does also, where does this sound encourage us that we are on the right track in the work that we're doing, because we're really going to be able to get the information that we need to be able to find a way forward. Toby, did you want to?
The only comment I would make, I think, is that we have a variety of choices here, and what we're trying to do is focus on those choices and not make any predetermined decision on how to increase service. Geographic boundaries for broadband connection are irrelevant. However, it's convenient and perhaps instructive to talk about the region of the town of Canton as a model and a source of how you can take a very broad area, a disparate area of density of population, and connect everybody. Our goal is universal coverage. And as Anna mentioned, at the 100 megabyte up and down speeds. So that universal coverage comes with a cost of installation and a cost of ongoing service. And we hope to consider those things as well. We want to be sure that we look at the user's point of view and see how this can be cost effective for all of the people who would benefit from this service. Very important component. We're not talking about $100 plus bills per month for these kinds of services. So we're trying to look with a very open mind at the possibilities. And we have some excellent help with the folks from MC Fiber. And we've also garnered some new contacts because of a webinar we went to, as well as the local providers at the county and DANK. So there's lots of resources out here, and we're hoping to come up with a concrete plan that takes the town of Canton as a model and puts this service at a different level for everyone. And of course, if there are any questions along the way, we want those to come to the committee of John Tayo, Anna, and me. Thanks.
Okay.
And one more thing, I think I'm sorry, Mayor, one more thing I neglected to mention. We recently, John, Toby, and I had a meeting with Mike Hammond, the mayor of Rensselaer Falls, who is also very interested, as you might imagine, in this conversation. And so we have agreed to work together and see where that goes.
Okay. Any other questions any questions for Anna or Toby? So we're being asked to support the contract that the town signed with MC Fiber Services at the rate of $2,000. It's half of the contract cost. I would expect that money is certainly eligible to come out of the ARPA funds. And I think that that's a proper place for us to take it. So I would need a motion to fund this at $2,000.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Klaus, is there any further discussion?
I just think this is super important work. So I appreciate that it's moving forward.
So much.
So thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Anna and Toby, for working on this.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Okay,
Great. Thank you, Anna and Toby, really so much. And I think everybody in the village and town thanks you too. Well, at least especially some of them.
okay, next item is to approve the hiring of Tracy Fuller in the village clerk's office. That is actually would be effective January 5th. That's when her contract ended with the temporary service. And we had intended to bring her on, but due to unforeseen circumstances like COVID, we couldn't do a meeting sooner. So we're asking you to approve the hiring of Tracy Fuller as full-time in the clerk's office.
I enthusiastically approve that and make a motion that we do that.
In a second,
Second.
Anna, we do have to state the starting salary. That's $21 an hour. We had settled that a while back. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Good.
Okay,
Can I say something though?
yes,
Please.
That is at $22 an hour.
I'm sorry, 22. I made a mistake. Thought you told me 21.
Nope,
Okay.
that's,
We are delighted to have her as part of the team.
Okay.
Tracy was about to walk.
Oh,
that's what I was afraid of.
my apologies. I got it wrong.
Tracy and Megan are both on, so I just want to say, welcome, Tracy.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yep. Welcome.
I'm using, I see that, look at my, yeah. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I'm sorry I misspoke. That's what happened to my mind. I got too many things running through it. Okay, the next item is to appoint Megan Musat as deputy clerk. And that has been part of a discussion that Sally and I have had along with Carol with the finance committee. And, you know, it's that appointment's mine, but it obviously needs board approval. So. Yes.
I just think for the benefit of what public is here, but also for the staff, the department heads. Sally, do you want to just say something just really quickly about this shift and also sort of how you arrived at it? I mean, it was sort of a copacetic move that just fell nicely, but I think it's worth people understanding sort of how it came about and what it means.
Yes, definitely. Megan is also on. Through conversations in our office and the addition of Tracy, people have varying skills in different areas. Megan has a history with the village. She also is very acquainted with our constituents. So we felt Megan, and she was very pleased, would make the better choice for deputy clerk. Tracy's background is more financial, so it made more sense to adjust that to deputy treasurer. And that's just part of a bigger project in the clerk's office, is transitioning people and cross-training everyone.
Okay. So first thing I need to do is appoint Megan as the deputy clerk.
Yay.
Does the rest
Is
of the
there,
board
do you have like a
Do we
like a
vote?
sword that you dub her head with or something like that?
you have to vote to approve my appointment.
Oh,
Okay,
right,
so
okay.
moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next one is to appoint Tracy Fuller as the deputy treasurer.
So moved.
Oh,
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And for Tracy, I really apologize for getting your starting salary wrong.
That's
Okay.
Well,
okay.
I think this is really exciting. I think I think having Tracy on board is great. I think this is a great sort of result of some of the the examination we've done of how that office operates and how it can operate best. And I think this is just a great move. So very, very, very excited.
I think it's a great first step.
Okay. Next item. I wanted to remind you that there's a joint meeting with the town on the 26th. Any agenda items that you have, please get to me over the next day or two. We do have to, the supervisor and I need to get an agenda out and published. We'd like to get that done sooner than later, but no later than Monday.
Is it 6?
What time did I can't remember what time.
I think
we set.
it's 6.
I think it's 6.
I have it 6 on my calendar.
I think that's
that
correct.
doesn't mean it's 6.
Mary Ann is paying attention. Is it 6, Mary Ann? Maybe, there she is.
Yes,
Okay, there you go, 6 o'clock.
thank you.
And can I just note that is not on the Google Calendar yet. So Sally, if you want to work out whether that's you guys or Heidi, but somebody should get that on the Google Calendar so that we.
Mhm.
We do have a few items to talk about in there, and we will, if there's anything specific that you want to talk about, please let me know.
Is that going to be Zoom or hybrid, or what's the plan?
Right now, it looks like it's going to be Zoom. The supervisor and I will talk about that.
Mhm.
Our biggest concern with all of this is the numbers in our community.
Mhm.
COVID positives are drifting down in the state, but it's been a little higher. We're lagging behind, I believe, in our community. So we just want to be a little more careful. But the supervisor and I will talk, and that decision will be made quickly.
Mhm.
Okay. The next item was to discuss an amendment to a contract with River Street for the additional work that they did. I believe you should have the contract in front of you. We had asked River Street to do the work on helping with the code update or the new code for Complete Street. And so we circulated an additional contract or amended contract to you.
I would just say, I think we talked about this. Oh, I've lost you guys. We talked about this generally speaking.
Mhm.
I think both on the zoning update and additionally on the Complete Streets, we got so much really great time and information and effort from River Street and from Monica. I also enthusiastically and heartily agree with paying this. What am I trying to say? Like
Yeah, approving the contract.
approving the contract. Thank you.
Yep.
The contract amendment.
Yep,
Yep, great job, Monica.
she had to leave. So is that in the form of a motion to approve the amendment to the contract,
Yep.
Carol?
Yes, it was.
And Klaus, was that a second?
And a second, yep.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that carries. The next item was to discuss the possibility of a methadone clinic coming to St. Lawrence County's Route 310 building. I think we've gotten the word out now that the county is planning on a methadone clinic there. I think we need some more information. Jim, the chief told me about it and then told the committee about it, and you know, they're all have interest in this. My goal was to make it public today and then I did inform a representative on the county board that, you know, hey, we got a lot of questions here. So we're going to try to set up something with the number he gave us. Of course, you know, that's out there. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we can get the county administrator involved and you know, see if we can't get some better answers. I know Jim has tried. You know, my concerns are, you know, what's going to happen in our community. And if it goes sideways, what kind of support are we going to have from the county because it goes sideways? I've done a little bit of research looking at some of these things, and it depends on what you read and where they are, because some communities say it's no problem and other communities say it's a nightmare. So, go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, I just think that it's critical for us to be able to have a voice and to learn and to have, you know, the public know that this is being considered. I was glad to hear that location isn't necessarily a done deal. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, our community, our county has supportive measures for people, but I also think that it's important that communities know when these kinds of facilities are being built in their backyards. So I do appreciate that Dan Fay was here, and I look forward to learning a lot more and have a lot of questions. I don't know if it makes sense to, you know, ask them now because we don't have experts or people who can answer them, but I'm glad that we've got this public and that we can start talking about it. So thank you for that.
We're going to move forward on getting answers and you know, whether it's inviting someone to come to one of our board meetings and answer questions, you know, we'll do what we have to do to make sure we get answers to our questions. And really, that's what I was after tonight, was to make sure this was out in the public and that people knew. I think we've accomplished that.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? We'll move forward then. I've added an appointment to the Housing Authority Board. I was contacted today with a name of Nan Klingman, and I've talked to her today, and she's interested. The only caveat there is that she's checking with her employer to make sure that there's not a conflict. It's, you know, just an ethics question. She doesn't think there will be, but I told her that if she's interested, we can make the appointment pending the outcome of her, you know, checking with her employer. And that way we don't have to revisit this next month. So if she gets a go ahead, then we have a fifth person on that board. And I have collected all of her information for Sally so that she can get what she needs in order to have her sign the book.
Great.
So I would like to appoint Nan Klingman to the Housing Authority. Need a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, Anna and Klaus, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That's a
Okay.
fabulous appointment.
Yep.
It is, I agree with you.
You never know how these things are going to go down, and I appreciate that people have been thinking about it and looking, so. Okay, there is one more item on the agenda, but I do need to go into executive session first. And then we'll come back out and take care of business on that one. So we're going to go into executive session on, well, this is a personnel issue. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Can
All
I,
in favor?
oh,
Yes,
I was just gonna ask if we were gonna do public comment
oh, I'm sorry.
after. Was that your
I'm sorry.
intention?
No, I'll do public comment now. Let's postpone thanks for reminding me. I looked
Yeah,
at this and I
you're
knew I
welcome.
had to go there and then I neglected public comment. So let's do public comment right now. Is there any public comment out there? Jim?
I just wanted to throw out, just to be a little bit of a cheerleader, that I just wanted to publicly thank Sally. Excuse me, I think I have a frog in my throat tonight. Sally and Megan and Tracy and formerly Kara in the front office. I've been chief since 2016, and I could not do my job as well as I've been able to try to get things done without the support of that office. Everything from budgeting to billing, asking questions about all kinds of things. She's always my go-to person. That office saves my hide a lot. So I just wanted to give them, a little pump up and a little thank you. And I think that they do a lot of hard work that we don't always realize, and just wanted to throw that out. So thank you.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anybody else with public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay, now, need a motion to go into executive session. We had
So moved.
Ann and Klaus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
How we find out who?
Okay.
Is Tracy staying?
No.
Okay, I'm just gonna ditch her, okay?
Yep.
Yep.
And you can stop the recording.
Duly ditched.
Okay, I need a motion to bring Walt Rexford back. Work number of hours in getting the golf course ready, golf equipment ready. The hours would equal his pay as he would be on unemployment.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good deal. Need a motion to adjourn this meeting. Anna's
So
running.
moved.
She's looking for, she's already packed her bag. I saw that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Thanks, everyone.
We're done.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.
Good night.
Night.